Welcome to another webinar from They Do. It is 5 p.m. where I am in Amsterdam. I'm here with Lucile, one of our senior PMs. Lucile, where are you?
Hello, everyone. I am based in Bordeaux, southwest of France.
Very nice. And for everyone who is joining and dropping in, we're going to take a minute so everyone can connect and see. Use the chat to say who you are and where you are from. It would be nice to get some people to say where they're from, to see whoever is joining. I think we got a good mix of Europe, North America, maybe other parts of the world. Let's see. So use the chat. Hello, Caroline from Sweden. Amber from Michigan. Hello, Belgium. Jean from Belgium as well. Toronto, Regina, nice to see you. Okay, we got some good coverage from all over the world. The Netherlands, Finland, okay, it's going fast now. Germany, we're waiting for everyone to drop in before we get started. Just a couple of more seconds, and then I think we will be going. Everything is recorded, so don't worry if you're just dropping in. We are about to start because today we are going to talk about connecting the dots between data and decisions. And again, hello for everyone who's dropping in. My name is Jochem. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Dedu. I'm joined by Lucile, one of our senior PMs. And as we're going to talk about the Data Hub and some new cool things that we've been building, she will take the lead in showing us around, but there is much more today. So I suggest we get started. If you have questions, if anything pops up and you want to know, drop it in the chat where everyone is saying hello, where they're from right now. And our wonderful team will triage and we'll have enough time to do Q&A as we go. I will facilitate or put that at the end. I'm sure we can cover a lot today. But before we do that, we got a lot of ground to cover. And I'm going to take you through what we're going to do. So today we're going to introduce something we call the Data Hub. It's part of making customer centricity common at the enterprise, one of our key missions at Dedu. We're going to talk about experience mining, and we have a wonderful sneak peek of what's ahead for everyone, because I know we have a lot of customers joining today, as much as people interested in journey management and building a journey-centric organization. So I'll do a quick intro on why this matters, what the webinar is about, and why this should matter to you before we go into some product demo today and show you around what we've been up to and how we're solving some of the most pesky problems in customer centricity. So with that in mind, last week, for those who were there, we were in London for the CX EMEA Summit at Forrester, where we had one of our customers, Lufthansa, present their way of building journey alignment across different business units, which was fantastic. But I'm not going to spill the beans there, but I will take you through some of the basic ideas behind why journey management is so important and setting us up for covering these three topics today. All right. If you're ready, remember why Dedu exists is we're marrying numbers and emotions, right? You can't deliver outcomes for the customer and the business if you only have customer insights or if you only are looking at your KPIs. You need to understand both perspectives, both sides of the same coin, to really drive meaningful change and actually have different teams to act on that data. So what we are seeing, and this might be very familiar for those who've been joining data webinars before, and this data is unfortunately still true. We have over 80% of our business leaders say we are customer-centric. We have a customer-centric strategy. But when you really ask customers if they agree that the business is customer-centric, only 3% agree, which is not a lot. And we want to do better. So what we are seeing is that silos are making it incredibly difficult in a large organization to get this done. And it's creating a huge cost to the business. And what is happening is that we have the best intent, but data and decisions are living in the different silos that we have. And by no means, we're going to say break down the silos. Every time someone says that, I cringe a bit, because silos have a purpose. They help our business to operate, to function, and to actually reach the scale that it is today. But it is very hard to get things done in today's world where everything is connected and the customer experience cuts across it. So for you who are joining this webinar, I don't think I need to talk about the reason or the notion of why a journey is the way to cut across these different silos and to tie data and decisions together. While this is a wonderful idea, in practice, it's really difficult to get done. And that's why data exists, to basically help to connect the dots between all the different data and all the different decisions that you want to take to be more customer centric, to deliver outcomes for the business and to tie the work that you're doing for your customers to meaningful business impact. And with that, what we are actually seeing and what we want to get rid of is actually the cost of siloism in your business. And there's 4 hidden costs, if you will, that are driving the cost up and creating inefficiencies and helping or disabling you from moving forward. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So the first hidden cost of siloism is basically the collection cost, because data is collected. We're listening to our customers, we're surveying them, we're doing research, we're collecting behavioral data and performance metrics, but it is scattered across the different teams and it's by no means connected. The second problem that we're seeing is that silos prevent us from getting the right context. Everyone has a different idea of who our customer is and what the data is telling us. And if we are not connecting the dots, then everyone is using their context. Marketing is coming from an acquisition perspective. Sales is coming from an efficiency perspective. And CX is looking at the data, but not always ties it to the delivery. So contextualizing together is going to help remove the cost, the hidden cost of siloism. And the third one, which is a result of this, is that the decision cost of having all these different teams act and work together and not make decisions on the fly or with limited information is actually one of the reasons that journey management exists, because we want to get the price of slow or no action down, and we want to make decisions collectively in the right way. And ultimately, delivery teams, not just in product or IT, but also in terms of changing policies and creating new value props. If we are able to cut across silos and to bridge the data and the decisions we want to make, we'll see the time it takes to get cross-functional execution going to significantly go down. So this was one of the stories that Daniel from Lufthansa shared on the screen. And we're not going to do that today, but we're going to talk to you about how it actually gets done in practice. Because journey management is solving siloism in your business. And this is what we have set out to solve with Data. To put the journey in the center of decision making, we're actually building a couple of capabilities. So one is we're aggregating all the data from your VOC, but also your business KPIs. And the second thing that journeys do really well, and journey management is helping our customers and you to execute, is basically contextualizing these data. So when you have that, you can prioritize action collectively together and seeing the stack rank of what actually needs to be done. And ultimately, the goal would be to close the loop and to track your feedback and your insights, but also the opportunities and the solutions that you set out to deliver to your customers should be impacting the customer experience. So journey management is driving efficiency across teams, and that is basically the entire reason that Data exists. So today, we're going to talk about a couple of those things. And one of the ways that we should be thinking about it, I'm going to put a mental picture in your mind, is that we've got all these different systems working in tandem in different parts of the business. Creating data, unstructured data, qualitative feedback from your customers. We're recording our calls these days. Everything is being transcribed, and there's more data available than ever. And AI is accelerating this. But on the structured side of things, we're measuring, we're counting, we're having endless KPIs that we're tracking already. But without that shared context, what journeys are bringing, it's hard to action on that, let alone what we're seeing here on the right, tie your delivery, in this case, your product roadmap items to what really moves the needle for your customers and for your business. So as you can see, like aggregating, contextualizing, prioritizing, and tracking are the areas where we are solving for with Data. So today, like I said, we're going to cover 3 product innovations that we've been working on, and we're going to take you through where we are with those and what it means for you. So the first one is we're going to go and talk about the brand new Data Hub, which is helping you to aggregate from all these different sources your unstructured and structured feedback. Then we're going to talk about experience mining, and as I promised, there's going to be a sneak peek into what's coming and what's ahead. But with all that, let me hand it over to Lucile to go and show you the latest on the Data Hub. Lucile, are you ready?
I am. Thank you, Jochem. As Jochem introduced me, thank you for your patience, by the way. I am working in product and in particular in the data area and in the integrations place. And today I'm really happy to show you the Data Hub because it ties to data, which is a topic that I love and which makes most sense today, especially after what Jochem has shared. Yes, data is siloed, your surveys, your interviews, your feedbacks, your support logs, everything is spread across many tools, many teams, and it's really tough to make sense of it. And that's why we introduced this Data Hub within the product. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, it's right here on the left below our goals. And it enables you to do so many things, which we are going to discuss now. So I'll reload my screen right now because, of course, I've had screen issues. And I still do, by the way, Jochem. So let's see what I can do. I'm not... okay, I'm in the right place. Can you see my full screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. We are good. So the first thing I would like to share with you is what can you do through the Data Hub once that you've got an issue, and that's often how it starts, right? You've got a problem in the company. Let's say your company is facing a really rare problem that's called retention. And let's say that your team has been requested to support on this to understand where retention issues come from and how you could support. Well, one of the things that you can do from this Data Hub is actually to start bringing some data in, data that you could retrieve from your stakeholders, from your partners, from other departments, wherever that makes sense to fix this problem. And in this case, we'll try to focus on customer support data. So an easy way to do it is to actually go out and retrieve call transcripts. As you can see, it's just a matter of selecting files, assigning types for these files. Here it's about support logs, and I will assign these to all of the files that I'm ingesting. By the way, you could also simply copy and paste here, and it would work the same way. And then I process the sources. Adding data is just as easy as this. You saw it. You just grab your files and you bring them in. I'm showing you here a manual approach, but we'll discuss a more automated way a bit later. And so right now, what's happening is that AI is actually surfacing the different files that we just connected and is trying to extract quotes from it. This is what you can see within the files here and the different types of data that have already been added. And hey, guess what? I'm already retrieving some quotes right now. And so if you have a problem and you are supposed to help right away, what you could do right now is actually select these files that you just connected and create a journey out of this. So you can simply select a template and continue. And you could also add other sources, by the way. I'm not doing it now for the demo purpose, but that's possible. And there we go. While we are discussing, Journey AI is actually trying to make sense of all of this data to create a great journey. And mining means that it's actually uncovering the different steps where users have been struggling so that you can better understand when, where, in which conditions users are actually struggling or are happy. This is what we will discover. So in a few minutes, we are creating this journey. So bear with me, it's coming together.
One of the things I really like about this is when we started to build Journey AI, I don't know if people remember the actual process of mapping a journey and getting from once you have data collected to understanding how everything is pieced together. It sometimes takes weeks for a team to pull off. And obviously you're using a couple of data sources, but imagine you have a ton of these different source data to process. Like, you see, a couple of minutes, this was live, and usually like this is a couple of days, sometimes weeks. So speeding that up is tremendously impactful for understanding this.
Thank you, Jochem. Indeed. And so now I get my journey and I can check if it's consistent with what I'm expecting. And this is actually what Journey AI is asking me right here. Is this what I'm expecting? Are the phases, the steps aligned with my understanding of this journey? And in this case, I will accept. And what I can see is that there's an experience curve that's not so happy. So I can directly deep dive into the different pains that I'm seeing. And if I focus on this one, for example, I will directly see fees issues with a summary detail of what was shared in those calls with customer service. And if I want to deep dive, because it's a summary, I can also go to the quotes and directly see from the file where this was mentioned what was actually the issue. So it's not only something made up by AI randomly, it's really what you just uploaded that is showing up and translated into a really easy way for you to understand the pains. And so I will let Jochem explain more in depth the mining experience. But just so you know, now that you have this journey, it can still evolve. You can bring much more to it, starting with external data. Back to the data hub, right? Here, you can see those Qualtrics surveys responses. Because if you identify a step in the journey where users are really struggling, you may want to question, or you may want to get more data about it. That's why we added Connect Data right here. This is helping you connect a lot of information and data that makes sense for you. I will talk about Qualtrics workflows today because we launched it not long ago, and it's an easy way to basically retrieve all of the survey responses that make sense for you directly into your data hub, and you can even filter to check out what surveys you are connecting into this. And that's it. I will let you continue, Jochem.
Sure. Thank you, Lucille. So a couple of things and also questions that people are asking. By the way, I lost you on camera, Lucille. So we're going to problem fix that. I'm gonna tackle a few of the questions, right? Because with the Data Hub, what we're actually trying to achieve is simple. We're aggregating all these different sources of data, but what we are seeing is that not all the data that's coming through is relevant. Specifically, if you have a particular problem you need to solve, you're probably needing to look at only a subset of your insights coming through from your data. So connecting and aggregating is one thing. Synthesizing the quotes and what people are actually saying is another. But then contextualizing that using the journey is what makes this possible. But the first step is bringing all that data, automated, uploaded, into the Data Hub. So a couple of things on this, and I'm going to go and share my screen to take you through some more juicy content. One of the ideas that we are bringing to life here with the hub. Please confirm that you're seeing my screen. So I am not doing anything that we shouldn't be doing. Yes, thank you. So with the Data Hub, what we're actually doing is bringing all of that together. But here, what Lucille actually did was generating a journey from these retention calls that she was collecting. Now, that's great if you know exactly which sources to do, but as you can see, like it's starting to pile up pretty quickly with all the different data that you're putting into it and the different types of data from interviews, support logs, surveys. So now let's assume, there are issues with in this case, we're a retail bank, right? There's issues around the debit card. So what I've done is I've set up a skeleton experience where I'm looking at the debit card lifecycle, pretty generic example, right? I'm looking at requesting, activating usage, resolving issues. So this would be a skeleton experience where we're looking into like specifically for the debit card lifecycle when people are requesting a new debit card all the way to usage and resolving issues. What actually do we know that customers are telling us? And we call this insight mining for a reason, because what we are actually looking for is, let's say, the pain points. I'm going to focus only on the pain points for let's say the last 30 days. So understanding it from this angle is another way that you can activate your data and to really get to the bottom of your insights. So what Lucile just showed you is like, hey, I have a couple of data sources that I want to use. But now we're looking at the other part where we know in the bank's experience, there are issues around the debit card. People are calling us with all these issues around debit cards. We're not really sure where to focus on. So let's see what we got. And here is where contextualizing all your data becomes paramount, because the amount of data is just too much for humans to process. All the call transcripts, all the survey responses, all the primary research that we're doing. But actually what we want to do is say, look, let your journeys do the work. Let's mine the insights in the context of this experience and actually see where the pain points are. So I'll tackle a couple of questions from people while we are mining for insights. And again, this is taking a little bit longer because we're not just doing a couple of those sources that Lucile just shared, but now we're scanning the entire data hub for where do we actually have insights that are relevant in this experience. So it is almost done, but as I promised, I will take a couple of the questions. So the innovation, Nora Wieman, I hope I'm saying this right. She asked, like, is the innovation in the bulk upload and the simultaneous processing of the data? So yes to both. So bulk upload is just one way, or connecting your data sources like Lucile showed with Qualtrics is another. So bringing all that is obviously helpful to automate that. But then the processing is specific, because we are not only looking for what is in the data hub once, so we're processing your data once to understand like what are people actually saying, what are the quotes that we're getting, what are the specific sentiments attached to that, is that something worth even looking into? But in the context of the journey, what we are seeing here, looking for pain points, we're actually turning that into insight, because data is not yet insight unless we are contextualizing it. So I will show you a couple of things that we have found here. So here, for instance, we're seeing a big problem with card delivery and activation issues. So in the context of activating my debit card and then receiving an activate, here is actually an insight, a pain point that is based on a ton of data. And we have 134 quotes coming into debit card delivery is excessively slow. But what we've done, as you look into this, is that one of the quotes ordered a new debit card 3 weeks ago and still nothing, called twice. So this is what customers are saying. The sentiment is pretty negative, as you can see. And we're looking into turning that into what we call a quote that is linked to this broader insight, where we're looking into customers that are experiencing significant delays and technical problems. Now, the next thing to build on your question, Nora, is that we are actually ranking and scoring. So the score is based on the variability of the different sources and the different sources and customers that are sharing this problem. So here we see like it's coming from 9 interviews, it's coming from 149 different feedback sources, and the reliability is therefore, in this case, scored at 16%, because we don't have support logs supporting this, but we do have feedback channels and survey replies getting into this. So we're building a ranking of this pain point in the context of this journey. So we're processing this, we're mining the pain point, and we're getting into a stack ranking of the biggest pain points in this particular experience. And I'm focused only on pains, because we can do the same for our needs and we can do the same for the gains. People are sharing positive experiences. But as we all know, most feedback that we're getting is on the negative side, because people have complaints and they're having problems and they want to get things resolved. So it is common to focus on the pain points, but you can just as well do this for the specific gains. So this is an individual insight. So if I go to some other one, chatbot and login issues, which is also a pain point, but as you can see, a way lower score, because it only happens in coming from 2 different surveys, and therefore the reliability for this particular pain point to focus on is way lower. Okay, so this is helping us to focus on what matters, but in the context of this debit card lifecycle, now we got context from all the data and understanding that not all the data is relevant for this one. Now, a couple of other things that as we are connecting in the data hub, the same thing occurs for our metrics, right? As Lucile showed us, like if we connect our data from, let's say, our data warehouse, and we're going to say integrate with Snowflake, one of the other things that data is doing is we are allowing our customers to build these metrics. So let's say, and this is what I prepared, we have a metric around monthly calls from debit card issues. Like how many times are people calling around debit card issues? So if we go to this debit card lifecycle that we've been building to really start to marry the numbers and the emotions, we want to bring those metrics in the context of this journey. So we can actually start to see like, hey, look, it's not just the feedback that we're getting, but we're also getting a specific amount of calls around the debit card. And let's say our goal is to focus on reducing that call volume. Well, now you have a lay of the land of all the different pain points and the potential opportunities that we can start tackling. So we'll also help you generate an initial draft for where these opportunities are in the context of this journey, focusing on the pain points. So as you can imagine, simplify the card activation process or improving the card delivery tracking system. So why this matters, the bigger picture, but then also tying it back to the specific insights, as you can imagine, the card arrival delays, which was the biggest pain point in this step. So all of a sudden, you're going from raw data in the data hub to contextualizing that using the journey and then turning it into an opportunity that you want, may, or can tackle. And this is how we're thinking about aggregating data, contextualizing it, and helping you to prioritize action. And then once you're starting to do things about it, track it back to the journey. And you would imagine two things. One, feedback is going away. And two, your metric will improve. And this is the simplest way that we are seeing journey management actually helping you to skip all the grunt work. So you can really focus on aligning the teams to say, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to take action? Okay. A couple of things. And Lucile, maybe chime in if you want, because this is just the start. And here's what we're going to do next, because we are building this out. And there's a couple of things that are coming to everyone who's a customer, to your workspaces soon. So the first is we're going to make automations for mining, because once you've set up this debit card journey that we saw, you don't want to run the mining exercise again and again. You want data actually to do that for you and start to see those data transform and see, hey, that pain point is indeed going away, or it is still the same. We're building new integrations, Databricks, Medallia, through S3. You can integrate your proprietary systems as well. And the last thing I'll say in a second. Lucile, you wanted to add?
Yes, because I think what you just described is actually a response to a few questions that occurred while you were demoing. So I think it's worth explaining that, yes, you can mine insights for existing journeys. And precisely when we are bringing automations, it's for existing journeys, meaning you are enriching the knowledge of your journeys from this new data that is flowing in automatically. So this was the first thing that I wanted to add. For the integrations part, I've also seen questions, and I will we'll discuss this later, but a lot more is coming. And would love to hear from you into what you're expecting. But indeed, Databricks is coming very soon. Medallia as well for survey responses and metrics, and Amazon S3, which will be a great enabler. And that's all I wanted to add, Jochem, and I can leave it up to you if you wish, or continue.
Yes, I'll tackle another question from Amber Swart while we are here. We will probably get there. She is saying, I'm wondering if these insights can be exported into Jira or other project management task cards and other tools for teams to take action on. So the good news is, yes, this is already possible. So I'll quickly show you this, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Because once these opportunities that we've just created are done, and maybe a better way to look at it is this way. So we have two opportunities in this journey, and of course, like prioritization is pretty simple because these have high customer and business value. But imagine there's a ton more of these journeys in your, let's say, customer lifecycle framework, right? There's all these journeys and all these data competing for priorities, and there's a lot of opportunities coming. So there's too much here to focus on. A lot of it is in the top right, as you would expect with a nice demo. But if you want to tackle them, the next bit is indeed to tie it to your solution work. So let's say simplifying the process for unblocking cards, which is one of the big opportunities. What are we doing about it? So here we have a two-step address verification, which is a very simple solution, which we could actually like tie to Jira. So either, and this one is linked to Jira Epic already, but ideally you want to be putting epics on the roadmap, right? So basically, if you're connected to Jira, which is integrated, then you can select your project and tie it to any epic and create any epics. You can push it. Sync will be enabled. And why it matters, and that's what I wanted to get to, once this goes live, so actually, like, let's say this one goes live today, it will start to show up in your data. And in your journeys, if we say we're going to tackle customer satisfaction, there we go. We have seen now the live two-step address verification has gone live. And what you would expect, perhaps, is our customer satisfaction to go up. And this is what I meant with closing the loop. So if your Jira DevOps teams are building their epics, prioritizing their roadmaps, the first step to do is tying their work back to the journeys. But perhaps the second step is start to build the roadmaps together with them, having your prioritization coming from these journeys and helping them to understand why it matters, what we are actually prioritizing. Right. Plan to integrate with Linear. Yes, one of the things that is part of our roadmap is that all our customers can vote on the integrations we're building. I'm going to launch a poll in a second to see which kind of tools that we actually are needing to integrate next. But basically, going back to the schema that I put in front of us, the entire point is to bring all our structured and unstructured data together, process and prioritize, so you can tie it to your initiatives and epics wherever your delivery teams are managing them. But with that, I think it's nice to go into one more thing for today. After experience mining, I promised a sneak peek, because knowing journey centricity is a way to do this way more effectively across teams. Not everyone can benefit from understanding a journey at face value. And this is actually what I wanted to show you. So rolling out in the next few weeks for our specific customers and later in the summer for all our customers is something that we've been working on, and we call it Pulse. And let me show you what it means. So now we have the journey view. We've got all these pain points mined. And this is very useful for understanding the end-to-end experience, step by step, where the critical pain points are. But maybe you want to zoom in on what matters most for this journey. So if we now go and switch to our data view, all of a sudden, we get a better understanding of what are the top pains, what are the insights that we are seeing by step, and how are we, in this case, creating them based on the dates that the feedback is coming into the system. So I just did this once. And all of a sudden, we get journey level insights on where to focus on and how our customers are able to prioritize. So on this journey, the top pain is clearly the card delivery and activation issues, and we can quickly find out why that was. But back to the life cycle, or your journey framework, if you will, there are so many more journeys. And if you look at the data from that angle, all of a sudden, a new pattern starts to emerge, right? We're seeing all these insights bubbling up together and seeing our top pains emerge, but also we can see like the evolution of our insights over time. This is what we're calling Pulse. And you can imagine that this is the first iteration of many more to come. So getting journey level insights, building these journeys as building blocks together to really help you understand, like, from a business perspective, where we should focus on, but also from a customer perspective, where the biggest issues are, and therefore where opportunities are to tackle next. So this is coming soon. If you are a Data customer, you can let us know if you want to have Pulse activated on your account. We're happy to get access to you, and we're rolling out new capabilities, new widgets, new reports every cycle that we are building. So from a journey view, We're going to get a data view that your executives will love, but also your teams will enjoy seeing that understanding of, hey, what is the data that we've actually processed in this specific journey? What is it telling us at a glance? So we're going to bring journey level insights to Pulse on every journey, on every framework, on every collection of journeys that you're using as your building blocks to get that together. And it's not only for insights, we're also bringing that to life for the other building blocks in your system, for your opportunities, for your solutions. So literally seeing, what are we working on? Who is actually working on what? Are we moving the needle? And is that in this journey or in the context of this experience actually moving the needle for our business? So completing all building block reporting and rolling it out to all of our customers over the summer. And if you're not a customer, to you, if you want to try this out, please let us know, because this is the most exciting thing for journey management and evolving it to be a mission critical tool in many companies to actually understand journey level insights, to get that unified perspective on the experience, marrying numbers and emotions. And with that, I'm going to open it up for a round of questions and seeing where we can take this next. So Lucile, please join me. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to tackle a few more questions from the top to the bottom. Let me see what we got here. Emily Luque, hope I'm not butchering that. Hi. How are these outputs managed in the same data is used more than once? For example, if one of those data sources was used twice and created the same insight in two different journeys, are those journeys consolidated into one or kept separate? Which is a very good question. Lucile, do you want to tackle it or shall I?
Please do.
So right now, the data is activated once, right? So the quotes coming from your sources is unique. And it could very well be that there is a slightly different insight in the context of the debit card lifecycle as well as the credit card lifecycle. But people in generally struggle with the same thing, like slow response times. So it could be that there is a similar insight in two different journeys. Now, bringing those journeys together, let's say you're going to put those two together and look at Pulse, you might see similar insights. And this is actually what most of our customers are asking, can we merge? Can we bring that together? So one of the things is we're working on an interface to bring that merging together. And right now you would actually activate the data once. So your quotes exist and are unique, but it could very well be that you have similar insights. So it's a very good call out where we are today. But what we're building towards is that you can merge, you can assess, and you can bring them all together under one opportunity. But because they have the link to the experience, you will always know what happens before, during, and after. So I hope that answers your question, Emily. Please add more if it doesn't.
I can also share naturally in the data hub. If you're trying to add twice the same quote, you will get the impression that it's important, but it will not add into your journey. So we've got specific rules around this as well, if that's what you're concerned about, Emily.
Cool. All right. Question from Amber Schwartz. This is crazy helpful. Wonderful, Amber. I hope you enjoy using it. Can it mine for jobs to be done? So one of the things that I glossed over quickly before moving into the demo was what's next for the data hub. I don't know if you guys saw it. People seeing this AI taxonomy automation. So in the back of our product, we are already tagging everything that is coming through, and we're about to bring that to the actual application. So we are seeing companies have their divisions, their departments, their product lines, their different geographies, like all of these basic segmentations, if you will, or dimensions clearly identified. They're known. So if we are bringing that taxonomy to the business, to Dado, and we're starting to match all the different quotes that are coming in from all these different sources, then we can start to bring a common language across all these different teams. And one of them will be jobs to be done. So if you have a jobs hierarchy that you want to bring into your taxonomy, that Dado should listen to for every piece of feedback, research, or data that is coming through, it should be possible. So we're working on this, and you can expect us to roll this out over the coming months to really build that system of tagging and use AI to automate that. I hope that's still crazy helpful, Amber.
Looks like Amber is excited, by the way. Jochem.
Yeah, and so are we. I mean, this is at scale, this is the biggest problem. Like when we look at most of our customers having hundreds of thousands of rows of data that they need to process from all these different systems, and the research teams, the insights teams, they can't keep up with that. But getting insights is one thing, in the context of the journey is another. So, and then being able to filter on all these different dimensions is where we are going. All right. Will this also consider if the insight is already on the journey, or will it create duplicates? Ron is asking. Another good question. So what I showed you and what Lucile showed you was mining insights. So basically looking into net new insights from the data. The other thing that we are doing is we're enriching. So enriching means we're going to respect everything that's already in the journey, looking at the pain points, looking at the gains, the needs, the jobs to be done, if we have them as insights, as the building block. And then we're going to enrich. And this is already possible today. So now we're doing two things. When we're mining, we're looking at net new, and we're enriching the existing. But we're going to give you more controls. So we're going to make it so that you can only enrich. So say you have a couple of those key pain points. The only thing data will do is keep listening for feedback, new data, new research coming through that will add new quotes and increase the weight of that insight. And the other cool thing that you can expect in Pulse is that we're going to show you trends over time for every insight, for your top pain points. How are they evolving over time? Is it actually building or is it decreasing? So this is definitely possible today. We call it enriching, but we're going to give you more controls to be more specific to help you do that. Ron, I hope it helps you answer that question.
I can discuss integrations and data preparation if you would like, Jochem.
Yes, please. Which question are we tackling?
So I know you mentioned it, but I see that Pablo also asked about linear. And actually, a few of you have asked about linear. So we are, again, having a very ambitious plan on integrations, which means that it's important for us to prioritize. And therefore, we are very happy to hear about your needs and planning for them. So yes, we are planning for a lot of integrations because data in does matter for the value of our product and your experience overall. So no problem. Linear is one of them. I also see Medallia. How soon is Medallia? Well, Medallia is as soon as we can, trust me, on this one. Maybe next quarter, but definitely before end of the year. So the same way that we've leveraged Qualtrics, we believe that this one is really valuable in the experience world. So we are working hard on this one. I also see many questions like Rita also asked, and Eski also, maybe I'm not pronouncing right, and sorry about this. And Amber asked about the limitations of the types of data. So data preparations and types of data. I believe on the types, we have seen in Jochem's demonstration that you could type the data, whether that's customer log, like customer support log, or interviews, or feedback, or surveys. This is how we've been typing the data so far. But if you have other needs for different types of data, you should let us know so that we can look into this and how we can make sense of it. And that ties to data preparation. Of course, we don't want you to prepare a structured file when we are saying that we are dealing with unstructured data, but we still have to be careful about what AI can understand from these files, which means that any source that you want to bring in, we are happy to look into this with you and to see how it works for the best experience, basically, to render the best insights. This is really how we are growing into this, because as you know, it's an exploratory world here. So we are learning with you guys. And so no specific preparation, of course, but still we need to be cautious. And every business has their specifics, which is, of course, implying those discussions. So this is what I would say about this. But from what I can share within our experience on Qualtrics workflows and survey responses, we are really happy about the result.
Very nice. Let me open a poll. Like, curious to hear, to make it also possible for you to say which data source do you want to mine with data, right? What are the data sources you have? What are the different types of data beyond surveys, customer calls, and the different ways that you're collecting right now? So please share. I think I launched the poll. You can answer it if you want. While we do that, let me also tackle the other spicy topic is like, where is the data stored? So right now we have data centers in Europe and US. I know we are not yet FedRAMP, as Amber put in the comments, but making sure that the data is on your soil is critical to do this. And all the AI capabilities are deployed in a private cloud. So if you want to know more about that, please reach out. We can send you documentation and some more information about that. But it is our priority to make sure that it falls within the policies and the regulatory requirements that your company needs to have. So I'm seeing some comments coming through on the poll. So I'll let it run a little bit. Let me see if we can tackle a few more of the questions. Marloes Krone asked, curious about the mining continuously with connected data sources, relating to doubling question from before and an option to check only a newly added source relating to existing sources. Okay, I think if I understand correctly, some caution around fully autonomous listening to all the feedback, how we're tackling that. Lucile, you wanna say a few things about that?
Sure. So when we talk about automations, it means ruling, indeed. And what we do is that we've said it, the rule is to not override and to not update, which means that you are automating data, setting up a frequency. And what we do is that we add new items. We don't add existing items. And from our product, you can choose to remove data if you don't need it, if it's not useful, or you can move it around. But you should not override it. That's the rule. And by the way, if you try in the data hub again to add two same files under different names, you will see that you will not get new quotes because AI will identify that this is the same content. So yeah, we are still practicing on it, and we may get feedbacks on this, but we are pretty happy with the results so far.
Question on how about connecting Microsoft Dynamics 365, and I think this relates to CRM in general. It's the obvious one, but it's also the hardest one. Everyone is using their CRM slightly differently. Everyone has different objects that we should be pulling into this. So Rita, I'm not sure if you are a customer. If you are, please reach out and we'll help you understand like what it is exactly that you want from the call notes that you're getting, from maybe transcripts that are adding to your CRM or anything in between.
All metrics, indeed.
So
and
this is
on this, Jochem, if you want, I can also add that it is true that prioritization can seem difficult from our end, and we are also unlocking a lot of this soon with a new connector from Amazon S3, which will enable you to export this type of data, which could be complex for us to deploy at scale for all of customers. But if you own what you want to share, then through this connector, you may very well retrieve your CRM data. So we need to discuss, and we're happy to help you unlock this.
Great. So let's publish the poll and see if people are going to be adding them. So we'll tackle a few more questions while we're at it. Are there any limitations to the types of data that can be imported or connected? Is there a list of supported data sources? Amber again. Thank you, Amber.
You want me to take it? Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, apart from the types that I listed, no clear limitation. And we're also working with Amazon S3 to enable you to bring this data for AI, which we just need to understand what it is, what type it is. Like, is it a survey? Is it customer log? Is it an interview? Is it, as soon as we've got this qualification, we should be able to make sense for it. And if you can think of any other format or things that we are not handling today, we're happy to also look into this.
Yes. So Vinay Pandu has another question. Is there a way to club data sources, like making a folder for each project or each time duration inside the data hub for easing the load on inside mining? And it's a very good suggestion. I love it. We've been tinkering with that. Let me say one thing. The entire team at Datum is building relentlessly to make that load time as low as possible. We expect millions of rows of data to be processed for every mining action. So we are building sophisticated ways to understand, like, what is in every source and how should we treat them for this particular context of the experience. So that is the work that we are doing, but that doesn't invalidate your question. Like, you want to have simple organization. So gonna take that very as a feedback. And yes, we've just shipped the first version of the data hub. So we expect to do many more iterations. And this is definitely a great idea. So you want to say anything about it from working with your customers to say what they had to say about it?
I'm pretty aligned on this one.
So we'll get it done, is what you're saying.
Of course, I mean, we'll do our best, as
Right.
always, and we'll try the best and the easiest solutions. Yes.
Yeah. Ron asked, you may get there, but how would you work if insights are relevant to existing journeys? I assume it creates insight cards generally.
I'm not sure. Like, I think when we add data into the data hub, then we are going to mine from a specific journey in the meantime. So AI will take this content in the relevant journeys. So your context does matter. I'm not sure what else you would like to know. Okay.
No, and maybe the answer is simple. It's yes, the insights are relevant or are made relevant only if the data supports an insight to be created. I'm seeing our customers like mining their journeys, and then at some steps, like nothing shows up. So then the question is why? One reason might be we don't have any data for this particular step in any experience, or the second is like the step doesn't exist. That happens sometimes as well, right? We start at inside out. We think we understand the experience, but actually customers are not having that experience at all, or they're skipping a step. So we are really carefully building this so it's accurate in every step. So the insights will actually show up where exactly they are relevant. All right. And let me see. There are more questions to tackle. Will we be able to, in the future, link customer data to the surveys through CRM in Dadu, related to the CRM topic we had before?
So when you mean customer data, what do you mean? That's the question.
Well, let's assume customer data is in a customer ID or a name or understanding which account it belongs to.
Well, currently we are not displaying this type of data, and they do. But depending on the use cases, we can think about this. It's just that so far, Data has been used more as an aggregated view and not specifically users. But happy to hear about what you have in mind.
Yes, example given was plan type, for instance, right? They were pulling that from the CRM and linking it to.
Oh, okay. So plan type is a dimension. Plan type is a dimension. Jochem mentioned taxonomy. When you need to segment your journeys to filter on some customer types, product types, geographics, or etc., then you may need this type of thing. And yes, this we are working on so that you can retrieve all the filters that make sense for your business to look at the journey the way that it makes most sense for you.
Wonderful. Pablo is clarifying his question about linear was less about using it as a data source, but as a replacement for Jira. Yes, I think like that makes sense if your company is transitioning away from Jira to linear. It's still a wonderful platform to tackle delivery priorities and understanding who's building what. So the basic idea of connecting it to journeys remains the same, Pablo. I hope that helps. Last question for today. Emily, will sentiment be an output as a metric based on the data mining results?
That one I'll leave it up to you. Jochem.
Yes. I don't know if you saw it, but actually, yes. So sentiment is an output, we're scoring every quote that we're getting on a 5-point scale, negative, positive, neutral, but having that nuance. And together that sentiment will propagate to the insight. And it's helping us build that scoring, that ranking, right? It's like, what is the impact factor? Sentiment is one of the inputs that helps us to understand the value of a particular pain point. So yes, it does sentiment analysis out of the box, but we're taking it one step further to really assess like what is the actual impact of this insight, considering many different customers, many different sources are being used to actually create this insight. So it has more weight than, let's say, it's only a specific set of customers replying this to through surveys. So sentiment is an output as a metric based on the data mining results. But I'm understanding maybe it might also make sense to just put that in pulse and have like a specific bucket for sentiment. So Emily, thank you for your question. Everyone, thank you for joining. I hope this was useful, but seeing the comments and the chat, I think it was a great way to introduce connecting the dots between data and decisions. Thank you, Lucile, for joining me today. And please let us know if you found this webinar useful and informative on a structured scale to keep it easy for you. So we'll know what to do with your feedback and make the one next another home run. Thanks everyone for joining. Hope to see you using the Data Hub. And for those who are customers, hope to see you sign up for Pulse, get it into your workspaces and get journey level insights. And please share our feedback to us, because we want to make this hell yes for you. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day, evening, or end of your morning if you are in the US time zone. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.